Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. My email is still tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's still in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a watch launched in 2019 from East Germany in the traditional watchmaking town of Glashütte. This is the Glashütte Original SeaQ Panorama date. It is the flagship of the Specialist collection. It is a modern-day dive watch inspired by the 1960s RPTS 200. Now, the watch is 43.2 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. It measures 15.9 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 51.3 millimeters across the wrist, with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We're going to throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it fits nicely. It does push out to the edge of my wrist, but I could wear this. So if your wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference or larger, you could wear this watch well. Here's the over the top, which tends to exaggerate the width of the watch, especially since I'm pulling the strap tight. Down the barrel is always the most definitive, and you can see that the lugs are out to the edge of my wrist, but not beyond. Now, the watch is quite a bit thinner than a Planet Ocean, but it is not a thin watch per se. It'll fit underneath jacket cuffs, just not the tightest of dress sleeves. We have a textile strap that is incredibly rugged. You can see twin layers of the material with a contrasting black binding stitch, and then that is paired with a full deployant clasp that includes both satin and polish externally. Press the twin triggers to open it up. You can see it as a double fold, and it offers security against dropping your watch while donning or removing at bedside. You see BRO, probably Brogioli, a company out of Ticino that makes many clasps and bracelets for Swiss and German watchmakers. Now, the case has a vintage look to it with minimal beveling, squared off lug ends, and a very narrow case band with vertical satination. There's a circumferential concentric satination that runs across the lug hoods and the case top, and then there is a slight accenting polished bevel that runs side to side. We have minimal squared off crown guards, a crown that is both polished and media blasted with a large knurling in diameter that makes it easy to grip. It is a screw down crown. The watch is 300 meters water resistant. And yes, I'm aware 300 meters is not 1,000 feet, but you're going to have to press the I believe button. Watchmakers have decided this is the convention. Now, when you pull the crown out all the way, you activate hacking or stop seconds. The watch has a double-digit flush disc panorama datum down at, I would say that's roughly 4:15 o'clock. Now, there is a quick set mechanism for the date, so you can rapidly cycle it should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month. So those two discs are truly flush, which is a real refinement on these big date or grand date systems. Now, Grand date might be what they call it in Switzerland in the French-speaking regions, but it is the panorama datum, as Glashütte would have it. There's a handsome facet or a step down around the discs, so you can see there's a transition from the plane of the dial down to the discs, which are beautifully the same color as the dial. Everyone should be so sensitive about how they create their date displays. We have vintage-inspired hands, including a broad arrow minutes hand, an intermediate lollipop counterweighted seconds hand, and then numerals and indices around the dial. You'll note that there is an incredibly cambered and boxed sapphire, and it is a sapphire. It's designed to reference a late 1960s plexiglass crystal, as you would have seen on the original RPTS 200. And the watch is well loomed. Let me show you that. Plenty of luminescence, including the seconds hand, a feature every dive watch should have, because you need to know whether the watch is actually running in the depths. Now, taking a look at the bezel, it has a large luminescent index. It is a 120 click unidirectional rotating bezel. It has a ceramic cap for scratch resistance. The dial has a very faint metallic black sunburst pattern to it. Then you turn it over and you see the manufacturer caliber GUB 36-13. So GUB, Glashütte Uhrenbetriebe, the original East German Glashütte watch factory. It actually represents the modern day heir to every traditional East German watchmaker. The original Lug und Söhne was actually folded into the GUB under the communists during the occupation of Eastern Germany. So the modern Glashütte Original, which grew out of the GUB, is the true legal successor to the original Lug und Söhne. So keep that in mind. Now the movement is made in-house. GO has their own movement manufacturer, but they also have their own school for training watchmakers and their own school for training tool makers, as they also make the tools used to build the movements. The movement itself, automatic winding with a 100-hour power reserve, quick set date, stop seconds, free sprung for durability, 6-position adjustment, one more than a standard chronometer, which is generally 5. The free sprung architecture and the 6-position adjustment ensures outstanding timekeeping, and the 36 caliber was GO's first to use an anti-magnetic and thermally resilient silicon hairspring. You could see solarization on the hand-finished reduction wheel of the winding system, solarization on the wheels down from the crown wheel to the ratchet over the barrel. You can see it has been solarized. There is striping across the bridges, snailing on the outer edges of the bridges. Note the use of both blued and polished screws, a polished center to the rotor bearing, a black polished swan's neck fine adjustment mechanism, and where you can see them, satination on the wheels, but this solarization on the reduction wheel of the winding system is the most exquisite piece. You can also see that it has a plexi-like sapphire over the back of the watch, which is fatuous but fabulous. If you love this watch, and I can't see why you wouldn't, reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.